The rain started before dawn, slow at first, then angry, beating the old zinc roofs of Ebiama community like a warning drum. People woke up to the sound of water rushing through gutters that no longer had shape. The roads had become deep brown rivers overnight, swallowing stones, plastic, and anything weak enough to float. Moses stood at his doorway, staring helplessly at the flooded path ahead. He had lived his whole life in Ebiama, but he had never seen the roads this bad. Each year, the rain grew stronger, and each year, the government only repaired the highway that led to the city, never the inner roads where people actually lived. The local leaders always promised to fix things, but nothing changed. Most of the wealthy young men of the community had moved to the town, where the streets were smooth and clean. They built beautiful houses there, leaving their home community to rot. But their parents still lived here. Their childhood memories still lived here. And now, the community was drowning slowly. As the rain continued to fall, people gathered in small groups outside their homes, pointing at the rising water. Children were calling out to each other, splashing with bare feet. Mothers held their buckets tight, their wrappers tied high above their knees. Then a shout broke the morning. "Something is in the water." People rushed toward the narrow road that led to the old bridge. The water there was higher than anywhere else, wide, strong, and dark. A young boy ran ahead, waving his hands. As the crowd gathered, their hearts sank. A man's body was floating toward them, rolling gently in the current like a forgotten leaf. The women covered their mouths. The men froze, stunned by fear and confusion. Moses pushed forward and stepped into the muddy water. Other men followed him. Together, they dragged the body out of the flood and laid him on the wet ground. It was the body of Daniel, a familiar face in the community. He was a bike rider, hardworking and respectful. He had left home early that morning, hoping to carry passengers before the rain became worse. Beside his body, the crowd noticed a man sitting on the ground, shaking violently. He was soaked from head to toe, mud on his clothes, water dripping from his hair. They recognized him. He was the passenger Daniel had carried on his bike. His name was Philip. Moses bent down beside him. "Philip, what happened?" Philip swallowed hard, tears streaming down his face. The water was too much. Daniel said he could manage. "We were almost at the corner where the ground is a little higher. But the bike slipped, the flood pulled us in." The crowd listened in silence. "I tried to hold him," Philip cried. "I tried. But the water carried him away so fast." A heavy sorrow settled in the air. Mothers began to wail. Daniel had been the breadwinner for his family. His elderly mother leaned on two women, crying uncontrollably. Moses clenched his fists. His voice trembled, but he spoke loud enough for the whole crowd to hear. "How many more people will die before help comes? Our roads are killing us. The government repairs the roads in town because that is where the rich children of this community live. They forget that we are the ones who raised them. They forget their roots." The men nodded. The women murmured sadly. "All our youths who have money," Moses continued, "went to the city to build fine houses. But here, where their mothers and fathers still walk every day, the ground is breaking. The roads are gone. Cars cannot move. Bikes cannot move. Even our feet can hardly pass." He looked at Daniel's body, lying helplessly on the earth. "Look at what this place has become, look at what we have allowed." The rain began to fall harder, as if the sky was grieving with them. Daniel's mother dropped to her knees beside her son, holding his cold hand, calling his name again and again. Some of the men removed their caps. Others bowed their heads. The whole community seemed to stand still in that moment, united not by joy or celebration, but by loss, raw, painful, unforgettable loss. Philip continued to cry softly, guilt shaking his shoulders. Moses placed a hand on his back. "It is not your fault," he said gently. "It is the fault of a system that stopped caring for us." The crowd slowly lifted Daniel's body to carry him home. As they walked through the destroyed road, people whispered to each other about the years of broken promises, the abandoned projects, the leaders who came only during elections. Ebiama community was tired. They were hurting. And as the rain washed over them, one truth settled quietly in every heart. If they waited for help, more bodies would float on their waters. But if they united, if they cared for their home the way they once did, they could save their community before the floods swallowed another life. The story of Daniel's death traveled far across the town. And for the first time in many years, the people began to talk not about waiting, but about rebuilding. Together. For themselves. For their children. For the community that once held them all.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. God bless you and stay safe. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from.